So welcome everyone. Let us just take a moment of silence before we read the opening aspiration. Yeah, so if anyone would like to read it loud for us, please do so.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah. So we were reflecting upon verse 11. I think we had also reflected upon and shared thoughts about how to do Tonglen last time when we had the session. Yeah, so I'll just read the verse again, and today we can read a little bit also from the other book, The Heart of Compassion, which this book also has referenced. So, verse 11, all suffering without exception arises from desiring happiness for oneself, while perfect Buddhahood is born from the thought of benefiting others. Therefore, to exchange my own happiness for the suffering of others is the practice of a Bodhisattva. So last time we had, in this commentary only, the heroic heart, we had gone through Jetsunma's description of doing Tonglen and that black pearl in the heart, and how this dark light we inhale of suffering of others, and it goes into dissolving, works like an acid. So all that suffering that we take in dissolves that black pearl of this little me, and dissolves it, because it doesn't want people's problems and suffering. It works like an acid for that meanness, and then with the out breath we give each other, give everyone just peace or light, and then the pearl transforms into a diamond and shines brightly when we do this exercise. Yeah. So when we do this practice, today we can take up these second half of this page number 73, that when we do this practice, then actually instead of feeling more miserable, since we have taken up people's suffering, we actually feel much lighter, because there is no me for whom I am now craving happiness. So this we can read now. Yeah. Would anyone want to go through these two paragraphs on page 73? Yeah.
Our true nature is endless well being. So, as soon as the small black pearl of self cherishing disappears, we discover our true nature, which has no problems. Then we breathe out clear white light, representing all our boundless wisdom, compassion, good health, good karma, everything good within us. This light is sent out with the breath, and we visualize it melting into the person present, or imagined. Visualize every cell of their body soaked in light and being healed so that they are completely happy and at ease. With the in breath, we take in the darkness. With the out breath, we give out all our bright, healing qualities as clear light. This practice can be used in many ways. For instance, if we are sick, instead of lying down and feeling sorry for ourselves, we can imagine that the suffering of all those with that particular sickness is being absorbed into us. For example, if we have a headache, then we can visualize that the headaches of all the beings in the world are drawn into us. We will take on all this sickness and free other beings from it. Or even if we are feeling sad, we can also do Tonglen for ourselves. It is very beneficial. Many lamas, when they are ill or dying, claim that they are participating Guru Yoga, practicing Guru Yoga and Tonglen.
Yeah, thank you. So again, without practice, we may not understand, of course, what is being said here and how does it work. So highly recommended the practice. Some of us may have tried it also. So we have to just continue that practice of doing it, because I think I feel Tonglen is a very good use of our own suffering. It's like when suffering is there, like Mother says, that we don't invite suffering, but when it is there, then how to use it the best way possible so that it transmutes something in us. So when we do this Tonglen practice, when we are suffering, or maybe we have clashes with people, or there are problems at home or at work, when we do this Tonglen, first of all, then we don't have any enemies, because we are taking in the suffering of our so-called enemies also. So it makes our heart softer, rather than making it very rigid and hard because we have clashes with other people around us. So that, plus then there is no one that I am bothering happiness for, because I'm taking in the suffering of whoever I want to, and then I'm not bothering about myself. So when bothering about myself is gone, then our suffering and misery is also, surprisingly or not surprisingly, it's gone. It's not there, and we have made some good use of our own difficulty and challenge and suffering. So anything here, anyone, what we just read? We have to try doing it when we have problems with other people. I think there it works the best. Because if we think that, okay, I think that, okay, that person is responsible for my suffering, then of course, even if logically thinking, reasoning wise, we think that, when the other person does something which is not very nice, then the other person is also suffering. So when we see something like that, that yes, the other person also is not very happy in this state, then we inhale that person's suffering and uh, exhaling out light and peacefulness and joy. Then I think it in that cases, those cases also, it works very nicely. And plus, as Jetsunma shares, that even when we have physical issues like maybe some cramps or leg pain or headache, or maybe a problem with eyes, or anything, maybe we have gotten bruised, have got a cut, and we are suffering because of that, we have pain. So then we can imagine or think about all those people who are having wounds right now, how much challenge they have to go through, or how much pain they have to go through. So now I understand their pain, now I understand their suffering. If we are suffering through a relationship issue, or something, then again all the people who are in that state in their life, now I understand their pain and suffering, now I can connect with it. So When we are able to do that, that now I see it, then we can also kind of do this practice of taking it in and not bothering about our own self and doing Tonglen. Same goes for every illness, like physical illness, mental, emotional. And one thing is so nice that we don't, I think we often feel so, take the life for so granted. I was wondering that all of us, who are attending these sessions and maybe able to listen to it later, all of us who are reading about these Savitri or, all these practices, think about it. We all have a mental ability which is sound. We have a heart which is relatively okay, can connect to people and understand people's suffering. Uh, the body which is relatively functional. This is not the case with everyone. We know that very well. Maybe money, that much of money and comfort that we are able to do these practices and have the time to buy books and have a laptop or phone through which we can do all this. It's not a usual thing. These causes and conditions. I was I just heard about someone who is otherwise known as a very good kind of a teacher, gives these and that kind of classes. But when it comes to his actually nature, like how he relates with people, it's like really animal like and no, very crude. So that really have me, since that time I really kind of wondered a little that how grateful we can be that we have a sound intellect, sound mental abilities, and that we can understand when we are going through a suffering or a challenge that yes, this is a darkness and let me, deal with it in a holistic manner or whatever. These abilities are not there with everyone. So when they are there, then can we make use of it nicely and be of benefit to our own self plus others. So if we can do Tonglen, if we have the ability to do Tonglen and little bit of strength that we can do it, then why not? Why to waste this time and keep cribbing about me and my little life and all the problems that are associated with it, rather than using them in such a manner that you make use of your problems. So anything that we are going through, we can make use of it. So yeah, so this practice can be used in sickness, physical sickness, headaches, all the people who are having headaches. Now I understand their pain. So taking in, at times the headaches may be in such a intensity that you may not be able to, we may not be able to actually do that breathing in of darkness and everything. But that's okay whenever we can, whenever we can. And then it continues in the next para also. I'll just read it out. This practice makes sense of our suffering. When it actually, as I was sharing, that we can make use of it rather than letting it go waste. So this practice makes sense of our own suffering and it is of great benefit to others. Many people who go to visit patients in hospitals don't know what to do when they are sitting with somebody who is sick or even dying. We could just hold the patient's hand and sit there doing Tonglen quietly. Sometimes people coming into the room remark on the peaceful atmosphere, or the patient says that for whatever reason they feel comforted. For instance, if we visit somebody who is sick, we can just sit there quietly doing this meditation, bringing in the dark, sending out the light. But secretly, we don't have to tell the people, I am doing this for you. They don't have to know that that is what we are thinking or doing. Because whenever we share that I'm doing that for you, it boosts our ego. Ego claims it. So that secret prayers or secret wishes are very, very good uh, way of keeping our ego at bay. Otherwise the ego wants to be praised, that now, see, I am praying for you, how nice am I. So it just goes into vain. Yeah, anything so far? Anything? Anyone? Okay, so we can go ahead, take two more paragraphs. Yeah, starting from if we are in a hospital room. Yeah, if anyone wants to go ahead, please.
Yes. If we are in a hospital room, we don't have to sit in a special posture. We just sit. Nobody knows what we are doing. We don't need to draw attention to our practices. Even on a bus or a train or a plane, we can do Tonglen. We can just take in all the problems, anxieties, and suffering of these people sitting there and give out light and love. Every single person has problems, to be sure. If it is not one thing, then it is something else. If it is not their own problems, then they are worrying about somebody close to them. Just imagine taking that all in. How wonderful if we could take in all their suffering and give them joy and happiness and well being. I'm sure any of us would be happy to do that if we could take everybody's suffering into ourselves and give them all joy. That would be a fair bargain since they are giving us the precious opportunity to practice compassion. I'll just read the last sentence one more time. If we could take everybody's suffering into ourselves and give them all joy, that would be a fair bargain since they are giving us the precious opportunity to practice compassion. Thank you. Should I continue?
Yeah, one more, please.
Yes. Rather than just feeling helpless in the face of suffering, apart from anything material we can do to help inwardly, we can do these spiritual practices. If we can practice sincerely, it really does change the atmosphere. Often, people just feel that something has changed. They don't know what's happened, but they feel better inside themselves. Our thoughts have tremendous power. This is important to remember.
Thank you. Yeah, so anything here? Anyone? Any thoughts or reflections? So it's like, we have to, just like we talk about changing our taste. So we are now getting aware of these new pastimes. We all have pastimes. The most common pastime that we have is to keep thinking in loop about all the things in our life and kind of keep swimming in our thoughts. That's, we don't have to put effort in that pastime, it just happens by itself. We all the time we are swimming in our thoughts, and there is a kind of a, I would say, sweet kind of a pleasure and pain mixed that is there when keeps we keep swimming in our thoughts and feel that, wow, like, what do I do? Let's Let's think, like we don't have any other good pastime. So doing Tonglen while we are anywhere, we may be traveling, we may be walking or driving, sleeping. It's a pastime because the mind needs a pastime. Hmm? Bringing it to breath is a pastime. It's a healthier, beneficial pastime. So all the pastimes which are uh, not beneficial anymore that we recognize in our life have to be abandoned, and we have to develop and cultivate these newer pastimes. Like Nam Jap is a pastime. We are taking mother's name or remembering our guru or whoever, rather than keep thinking about thoughts in loop. So all these are good pastimes, and they are beneficial because they also benefit us, and they also hopefully benefit others. And our thoughts have tremendous power. We have talked enough of this power of thoughts also in integral healing sessions, that if our thoughts have so much of power that bad thinking can give rise to diseases of all sorts, physical level pe we can make changes, then how much power our thoughts have if we make it extremely positive and choose positive every time, how much power they can have. So again, Tonglen is also thinking. One can say that I am thinking or visualizing or power of imagination. And we are imagining all the time. But it's just that what I am habituated to imagine, that doesn't appear uh, abnormal to me. But Tonglen will initially appear very abnormal to me, that how can I do that? No, no, no. Imagine everyone suffering, taking it in. But actually, if we look at our own thoughts and look at how much poisonous they are, and even then we are keeping off in loop, thinking about it, then we will be really shocked if we do a reality check, that all the time what are we really doing. So using this thought power or imagination power that we have to, for a better cause, which benefits us and others. Yeah. Yeah. So anything more here, anyone, in those two paragraphs?
It does feel abnormal in the beginning, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true. Because that this practice was never done before. Asking
Exactly.
for the pain and suffering of others and to replace that in them with happiness and peace, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what we were, there was this short video by Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche that I had shared with all of you, I think, in, I don't know which session, where he was talking about this practice of imagining oneself as a deity. So this is a Tibetan Buddhist practice that they do, that they imagine themselves as Tara or Avalokiteshvara, and it's my face that I'm imagining as like thousand armed, Chenrezig or whoever. And in the beginning, he was sharing that people say that it appears fake, as if I'm doing faking myself. It is not true that I'm like just kind of making a fool of myself by, I'm not Tara, but I'm imagining myself as Tara. So Jetsunma shares here that we think, because we are so habituated to think that I am Monica and I'm not Tara, that when I am thinking that I am Tara, it appears fake to me. Thinking that I am Monica does not appear fake to me because I am habituated to it. I am very familiarized with it. बचपन से यही तो किया है, अपने आप को चूहा माना है, और अब तुम कह रहे हो मैं शेर हूं, तो ये तो मैं फेक कर रहा हूं क्योंकि मैं तो चूहा हूं. So the point is that we are not the chuha that we think we are. And that is why we have, as you were sharing, that in the beginning it appears like I am faking it. Why? Because the premise is that what I am usually imagining is true, that I am a चूहा. तो अगर मैं चूहा को रियलिटी समझूं, जो कि एक्चुअली में नहीं है, इट्स जस्ट कि मेरी हैबिट पड़ी हुई है अपने आप को चूहा सोचने की, तो जरूरी, इन द बिगिनिंग व्हेन आई एम इमेजिनिंग माई सेल्फ एज अ लायन, इट अपीयर्स लाइक आई एम, हु एम आई फूलिंग, आई एम नॉट अ लायन. So in the beginning, when we are developing new neural pathways, cultivating a different practice, let it appear fake. That's the thing. We can let it appear fake. And Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche, he was sharing that we are hallucinating all the time. We are imagining all the time. But it's the only thing is that we think those imaginations to be our truth. We don't take them as, oh, I'm faking in my mind. No. If I have a thought about a person in front of me, I take it for real that yes, this is true. It's not fake. And that is why when I'm cultivating now, say this practice of Tonglen and exchanging his suffering for my own happiness, then it appears fake क्योंकि वो तो उसकी तो आदत ही नहीं है ना. आदत किसकी है? उस बंदे को हमेशा मैंने गलत तरीके से देखा और वो गलत नहीं लगता, मुझे लगता है नहीं नहीं वो तो फैक्ट है, यही तो फैक्ट है कि वो बंदा ही ऐसा है या लाइफ ही ऐसी है. So yes, it's very true that in the beginning all these things appear very fake, but the premise is that what I think is absolute truth, which also logically can be proven, is not. And it is only my habits, my old habits of thinking and feeling and acting in those manners that have become accustomed to me. I've got so familiarized with them that anything I do differently appears fake. It happens with us, when we go to newer cultures. You must have seen, अगर मैं इंडियन हूँ और अगर मैं किसी फ्रेंच कल्चर में जाके रहूँ या रेड इंडियन और ऑल दीज ट्राइबल कल्चर्स, इफ आई गो देयर, in the beginning whatever rituals they are doing, they will appear very fake to me. Why? For them it doesn't appear fake because they are habituated to it, but for them it is their reality. For me, my reality as if is something different, so I can't take it in fully. I am only on the surface in the beginning because it doesn't appear true to me. But slowly, if we are benefited, or if we go more deep into it, then we see that no problem. Anything that is beneficial can be taken up, and anything that is harmful now can be abandoned. Just a matter of practice. So we have to let it appear fake. That's what masters have said, that let it appear fake. Even when we do affirmations in our mind or we write them down, they also appear fake in the beginning. But slowly, as we believe that no, this will benefit me, I have to change thinking wrongly all the time and negative all the time, then even when it is appearing fake in the beginning, we do it. I have done it, so I can share my own experience that in the beginning it does appear fake. Like for example, I have a headache, and if the headache is not that intense, I can start writing, oh, I am well and fine, I am well and fine, I am well and fine. Now the mind will say, are you crazy? You are not well and fine, you have a headache. But on a deeper level you are well and fine. So you are reinforcing that deeper level wellness, which slowly will come to the surface and also maybe cure the headache, if we have faith in it. So it's interesting, all these experiments. Anything here, anyone?
Sorry, so what is the practice of imagining yourself as a deity? It sounds very intriguing, so I just wanted to.
Actually, you can check it up online. I don't know much about it. It's called Yidam practice, Yidam.
Okay.
Yidam practice, where you, since Jetsunma shares that Tibetans had a lot of time at their hand.
Mm-hmm.
So they devised lots of complicated techniques to fill up their time.
Okay.
So, and it is a good time of our visualization, because I will be thinking about something. So why not think about something good?
No, so this point of yours that we need better pastimes is intriguing also, because if you can replace the thinking with something else, possibly the thinking patterns may halt for a while. So that's why this sounded quite interesting. I'll look it up.
Yeah, you can look it up. Yidam. Anything more here? Anyone?
If you are hungry, or if problems, that if you're tired, or if you're not eaten, you get real anger in it. but these practices can be really beneficial in that term that I am not this, mother's child, for example, and mother's child can remain in equanimity all time. For me, this Buddhism practice is quite nice because when I started reading Buddhism, I used to always feel that like how can I take everybody's suffering? I cannot even deal with my own. So how can I actually feel that it's the state it's something.
Yeah, Nandini, your voice is cracking a lot. So not able to really hear you properly. Yeah, I think some.
Surface. Or we have not realized it. It's very hard to really say that I can practice Tonglen. Maybe this may be a question.
Try it, experiment, Then when we experiment, we will know. Yeah. Play with it a little. So let's take it up a little further. If that's okay, we can, I don't know, maybe we can, I don't know, like 3 pages too much, but let's see. So we can read further and see what Jetsunma shares. Yeah, if anyone has the capacity, would anyone want to read?
I lived for many years in the hills behind the pilgrimage town of Assisi, where St. Francis came from. Nowadays, it's all nicely smartened up and is an important pilgrimage place. Tourists who go to Italy usually visit Rome, Florence, Assisi, and Venice. So the town is full of shops selling tourist junk. Nonetheless, because it was the home of St. Francis and St. Clare, and for centuries people have visited on pilgrimage, it still has a powerful feeling. There are many beautiful medieval towns in Umbria and Tuscany, but Assisi is something special, even now, despite all the commercialism. I've met a number of people who've told me that when they went to Assisi on the tourist route, suddenly they had, out of the blue, a deep spiritual experience. They weren't expecting that at all. They weren't into any particular religious trip. They were just backpacking through Europe. But in Assisi, they found that something had suddenly shifted inside them and they had a life-changing experience there. The town of Bodh Gaya, which sits in the midst of urban chaos, has a similar effect on people. Bihar is the most troublesome state in India. On one level, it's almost a hell realm, and certainly a hungry ghost realm with all the incredible poverty and violence. Beggars, touts, and ear-splitting bhajans scream from the nearby temples, distorted by the blaring loudspeaker systems. In the middle of all this chaos sits Bodh Gaya, with a modest stone wall around it. Yet, as you enter through the gate, it is like being in a pure realm, especially in the early morning or evening when all the tourists have gone. It's an extraordinary place that has so much peaceful energy because of the thoughts and aspirations of all the devoted pilgrims gathered from all over the world, praying and prostrating. And of course, the Buddha himself attained enlightenment there.
Dinku, please go further a little because it's continuing about the places.
Similarly, if we go to Auschwitz or any of these kinds of places where something awful happened, there is actually nothing much there. It is just buildings and photos of the people who were interned and died there, but nothing more. And yet, we just know that tragedy occurred in this place. The atmosphere is so dark and heavy. The feeling of fear, suffering, and grief are still palpable, because of all the awful things that happened and the pain of all the people who have visited their sins. We can feel that something horrible happened there. The outer form of a place might not be anything threatening or anything special, but the mind force can be felt there. Whether the energy is something positive, full of love and devotion, or something negative like fear and hatred, it lingers there. We should be careful with our thoughts. Should I read the next bit also?
No, I think, yeah, let's take a pause. Thank you. So I think this must be experience of all of us when we visit such places. They have an energy that they emanate. The mind force can be felt there. Whether the energy is something positive, full of love and devotion, or something negative like fear and hatred, it lingers there. We should be careful with our thoughts. So imagine that we are generating all these energies in our mind uh, uh, all the time. So there is Pondicherry, then there is this Auschwitz, there are other places where heinous things may have been done, but our mind is also a space. And the kind of energy we create, that is the space we are living in all the time. And Jetsunma really reiterates this very much, that we may be living in this place or that place or that place, but actually all the time we are living in our mind. So why not make that also little kind of holy and sacred and pure and worth living. So with Tonglen, there comes also, since this was about exchanging suffering with others, with Tonglen comes this possibility of purifying our mind space. क्योंकि जब हम Tonglen करते हैं, it is impossible that we can have bad thoughts or evil thoughts about anybody, including ourselves. Possible ही नहीं है negative thinking when we are doing Tonglen. It actually transmutes all the negative into positive. So that is like vacuum cleaning our house. And it feels nice when we vacuum clean our house. And this can be done even when we begin to have these very negative thoughts about me and my life and what is happening and all the darkness. The moment we notice it, the moment we notice that, oh, I'm doing that again, immediately we can recognize that so many of us are doing it again and again. How much suffering it creates. Billions of us are plunging into the same loopy negative thoughts again and again. And how miserable it makes me and how miserable it will be making them also. So again, we have a point to connect with everyone's pain and to take in that suffering and depression and everything like a darkness coming into me, and exhale out peace and joy and happiness for all, progress for all. So at any point that we recognize the state of our mind, it's a very good place to do Tonglen. We can do it. Make use of our situation. Yeah, so any question or any sharing or thoughts here on these three things that we read? The energy of vibration, actually, the vibration and energy of places.
I just wanted to say that it also reminds me something from my personal experience, that if there's something very difficult, if we have decided to do, but it looks difficult, if we really put this aspiration that I'm not doing it only for myself, but for everybody who's in a similar situation, whether it's depression or cancer or like big things that people would say, oh my God, like you can't recover from this, or impossible that we have. But if you really keep this aspiration that this is not for me, but I'm doing it for everybody, this victory that I'll have will be shared with everybody, and this fight is for everybody, then it really makes it easier. Or at least a lot of strength of doing it. So I thought that also in itself is very beautiful. Or like I read your article as well in Namaha about sharing the merits with everybody, how that in itself is such a beautiful practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Also,
yes.
I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel that true craving for progress will also have this true craving for pain, because pain is a stepping stone to progress. So I feel that when I apply Tonglen practice, let's say, then the thing that scares me initially is that, okay, why am I asking for the pain of others to enter me? Because I don't see an opportunity there. I feel that it is pain. I'm going to suffer. But if I can change that attitude by continuously doing this, and I feel that that kind of answers, like sitting right now, I see that, okay, why did this question even come? Because the aspiration is still, there's still some purity that needs to be brought into my aspiration. Because I can just say that I am a true aspirer. I can tell myself that, but if I'm not really that, then I can't, ask for pain. So I find that if I can enjoy pain to think that, oh, thank God it's an opportunity, then I think it will become even easier to apply that Tonglen practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And once we have a little bit of glimpse of a taste of it, है ना, तो अब imagine करो that I am making compost. Now all the people usually they would not like when people throw all these wet waste, है ना, जो kitchen waste है वो आपके ऊपर फेंका जा रहा है. आपको लग रहा है यार how what kind of a rotting smell it is, I don't like it. But if you are a person who knows how to make compost, then you won't mind it. So what you were sharing, that if I know how to transmute pain, even if once or twice or thrice, whatever, little times I have glimpse of it that, oh, this can be changed, no problem, then it'll be very self motivating for us to do Tonglen or any such practice. क्योंकि हमको पता है कि ये तो सिर्फ चेहरा है इसका जो डरावना है, एक्चुअली में ये इतना डरावना है नहीं, है ना. सेम गोज फॉर ऑल द इलनेसेस ऑल्सो, इवन द स्केरियस्ट मोस्ट. ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या ले जाएंगी आपका जिंदगी, ले ले. और आपको पता है कहीं ना कहीं दैट देयर इज समथिंग इन यू विच इज इनडिस्ट्रक्टेबल, विच कैन नॉट बी टेकन अवे. तो ले ले, ये बॉडी ले जाएगी, ले ला, है ना. सो या आई थिंक वी हैव टू taste and try it for ourselves these things, so that next time we become self motivated rather than being fearful of pain. Because once we have turned all that rotten material that appears rotten into compost, then I have no problem with all those rotten peels and everything. No problem at all.
I think instead of I waiting for that true aspirer in me to come out, I can just keep on practicing Tonglen and keep on, taking the pain, like everything. And I think it's just like discipline, na? Like waking up early in the morning, 4 o'clock. Part of the body says, "Come on, just sleep for a couple more hours." Then another part always says that let's wake up, let's let's go out. So I think after a period of time, this gets tired. This thing gets tired and चलो उठ जाओ, जो भी करना है कर लो. So I think for that to happen, I think this needs to be done every day or every moment. And
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल वही जो हम टेस्ट चेंज की बात कर रहे थे ना, कि टेस्ट चेंज करना है ना. और just like you were sharing the advantage of pain, that because I get so much of suffering and misery when I keep thinking about this little me, then one day comes that you actually don't want to make a U-turn. You have made enough U-turns back to this little me and its stories and all the never-ending conflicts of its life, and now you don't want to go there. So then you can develop newer tastes and cultivate all these newer practices which are beneficial. बहुत किया है, हम सब ने बहुत किया है, चाहे हमारी एज कितनी भी हो, कम हो ज़्यादा हो. But I think all of us who are here attending these sessions and reading about our own silent practices, whatever we read, we know that we have actually made enough amount of U-turns again and again. कितना करेंगे? कितनी बार हमको कितना चाहिए और कन्विंस करने के लिए कि अब बहुत हो गया वो बार बार पुरानी गलियों में जाना. High time, and life is short. We don't know how much time we have left so that we can be of benefit to mankind and in general, benefit to the world. So whatever time is left, let us make use of it nicely. क्योंकि हमें नहीं पता कितना है. Actually, we don't know. We may be very young, but how do we know how much I am going to live? I don't know. Yeah. So whatever little, whatever more we can do, we must do. Anything more here? Anyone? Okay, so let us see where we were here. Yeah, so talking about thoughts and its importance, and since we are thinking all the time and it is making a vibration, our thoughts are vibrating. Yesterday, I was reading this very little book. It's a very little book. I'll just share, we can stop here today. So it's a little book of scientific healing affirmations by Paramahansa Yogananda. And it doesn't belong to me. It was left by a relative of mine, and I really never looked at it, although I kept it. I did not give it away. So yesterday I opened it up, and I thought there was something really very beautiful in this book about, say, the power of affirmations and thoughts, which we have discussed many a times. So one thing which I read, which was very like bomb-like, I thought I'll share it with all. Yeah, here he shares. Words saturated with sincerity, conviction, faith, and intuition are like highly explosive vibration bombs. Since we were reading that every place has a vibration, our mind also, thoughts also have vibrations, which, when set off, shatter the rocks of difficulties and create the change desired. So every time, each moment, we are thinking something or the other. Whatever we are thinking is setting off a vibration. This is very well researched. In quantum physics also, we know everything is a vibration. So Mother also says in integral healing that you have to generate a opposite vibration of the particular germ that one has got, or because germ is also a vibration. So when you develop a vibration which is higher than that and envelops and engulfs it, then you are able to cure yourself. Just about generating a higher vibration. So he says that words saturated with sincerity, conviction, faith, intuition are like highly explosive vibration bombs. तो ये नया पास टाइम है हमारा कि आप क्या करते हैं, हम वाइब्रेशन बॉम्ब बनाते हैं. This we can do. Nobody would know. It's happening all inside in a secret place, which when set off, shatter the rocks of difficulties and create the change desired. Avoid speaking unpleasant words even if true. That's what he says. Paramhansa Yogananda. Sincere words or affirmations repeated understandingly, feelingly, and willingly are sure to move the omnipresent cosmic vibratory force to render aid in your difficulty. So he goes further and many more pages, but he shares in general that how we are generating vibrations all the time, and I think that is why there are people who we call as magnetic personality. You may have met some people who are magnetic in nature because they are vibrating with a lot of positive energy. So like in magnetism, how it happens, all the direction is just वो इधर उधर जो direction होती है वो magnetized, मतलब something, if something has been magnetized, तो वो जो उसके छोटे छोटे particles होते हैं ना, वो सारे के सारे एक ही तरह align हो जाते हैं. That is what we say as magnetized. So again, power of thought, what we are believing in all the time. And we have seen that when our moods go down and we have depressing phases, we are believing in things which are very negative and depressing. Oh, मेरे relationship क्या होगा, मेरे घर का क्या होगा, मेरी family का क्या होगा, worries and anxiety, all of these have lower vibrations. It is very well researched in science. So let us stop there, and I think we have enough good pastimes to cultivate.
You are not
Yes,
audible. I'm not sure if anyone's having the same issue.
I am not audible. Okay.
I could hear.
अब ठीक है जगन? I think जगन के audibility में कुछ issue है. Is it okay now? Okay, okay. Fine. So any last comments before we end today?
Yes, are you able to share a picture of those lines
हाँ,
in the
I'll share.
group?
I'll share. Yes.
Thank you.
So let us utilize our precious human life. We don't know how long that is going to be, and make use of all the time that we have and cultivating beneficial practices and practices that don't harm us, they benefit us and others. So, taking a moment of silence and dedicating, sharing all the merit that we may have, individual or collective. May everything be shared. May all the goodness be shared with innumerable sentient beings, near and far. May we not suffer. May causes of suffering be removed from all of us. May we have true happiness and causes also for true happiness. Yeah, thank you, everyone.